Welcome to another exciting episode of the Common Constitutionalist Weekly Podcast, and I am, as always, the Common Constitutionalist. Today I've got a couple of topics to broach. The first being quarterback Colin Kapernick. He's quarterback of the San Francisco 49ers, and they played the Green Bay Packers, a few days ago, and I want to discuss that, but not the game. You'll see. And the second topic is regarding our U.S. Navy and the Persian Gulf, the Straits of Hormuz, and the Iranian dirtbags. We'll get into that too today on the Common Constitutionalist.
You're listening to the Common Constitutionalist, broadcast from an undisclosed location, free from the prying eyes of establishment black helicopters.
All right. I am going to attempt to keep the energy up. Last week, not so much. Actually, this week, not so much either. My son and I last week did a extended kayaking journey. It was a tough row, but it was a lot of fun. Took a lot out of me, and so I suffered a little bit because of it. But what the heck? It was great fun. It was a blast. This weekend, we decided to hike, and not just any hike. We'll call it a jetty march, for want of a better term. We packed up our stuff and headed out. Went to the beach. Didn't actually go to the beach. In New England, there's a lot of rocky jetties and stuff to climb on, up and down and whatnot. And so we packed up our stuff. We headed out, and we did, a couple, 3 miles worth of jetties. Doesn't seem like much until you get out there on these rocks. You're going up and down. You're going over tidal pools. You're going around them. You're going on, wet seaweed and all sorts of stuff during low tide. It's a tough slug, boy, and we were beat when we got home. So I am doing this a couple hours after, and I'm going to attempt to keep the energy up. So here we go. Colin Kaepernick. This kid came out of college with a bang. He was first year, couple years, he was awesome. Absolutely awesome. Great 49er quarterback. Looked like he was going to be the second coming. Completely changed the game, so to speak. Him and Russell Wilson and those guys, scrambling quarterbacks, Cam Newton, that genre of new quarterbacks. They can run, they can pass, they can do everything. That's the line anyway. But things have not gone so well for Colin as of late. If you're a football fan, you know all about it. If you're not, you don't care. So I'm not going to get into how he fell out of favor. His game just kind of fell apart, and he's not dealing with it very well, I don't think. But this comes to us from CNN. Hooray for attribution. It's only taken me 100 episodes to get attribution every week, but I'm getting better at it. So here we go. CNN reports that the San Francisco 49ers quarterback Colin Kaepernick made his preseason debut Friday against the Green Bay Packers, but that it turned out to be the second biggest story for the 28-year-old. Now here's something I didn't know. Here's a website that I didn't know, NFLfemale.com. Okay, well, there you go. We got the feminization of the NFL. Big freaking shocker there. But NFLfemale.com's Jennifer Chan captured a picture of Kaepernick sitting during the National Anthem before the game was kicked off. Mike Barrows of the Sacramento Bee caught wind of this and got the picture of it, zoomed in on it, and tweeted it. And he tweeted, zoom in a photo during National Anthem that shows Colin Kaepernick sitting on the bench. And he was, if you've seen the picture, he was the only one sitting on the bench. Everybody was standing up. Most of the guys were facing the flag, and there's Kaepernick just sitting on the bench by himself. Now, people were none too pleased by this. So the 49ers issued a statement about Kaepernick's choice not to partake in the pregame ceremony. The statement read, The national anthem is and always will be a special part of the pregame ceremony. It is an opportunity to honor our country and reflect on the great liberties we are afforded as its citizens. In respecting such Americans' principles as freedom of religion and freedom of expression, we recognize the right of an individual to choose to participate or not in our celebration of the national anthem. Well, ain't that nice? And you know what? I can accept that. I don't agree with it, but I can at least accept that explanation. If Kaepernick chooses not to participate and stand up with his hand over his heart, or just stand at attention, or is with his arms crossed or something, that's fine. If he chooses to sit out the national anthem because of some freedom of expression or religious thing or something, okay, that's grand. But that ain't why it happened. And dig this. Kaepernick did provide an explanation, and you'll love what the explanation is. He said that I am not going to stand up to show pride in a flag for a country that oppresses black people and people of color. To me, this is bigger than football, and would be selfish on my part to look the other way. There are bodies in the street and people getting paid leave and getting away with murder. Oy, gee whiz. Mr. Kaepernick continues with his brilliant essay or whatever explanation. This is not something I am going to run by anybody. I'm not looking for approval. I have to stand up for people that are oppressed. If they take football away, my endorsements away from me, I know that I stood up for what is right. Oh, you know, how do you even respond to that? But I'll think of a way. Oh, and on Thursday before the game was on Friday, he retweeted an image on Thursday of an American and Confederate flags together with the caption, "The fact that you really believe that there is a difference in these flags means that you're ignoring history." I mean, honestly. That post has disappeared. It's been deleted. Gee, I wonder why. But it looks as if it appears to me, and anybody else with eyes and a brain, that Kaepernick has bought in hook, line, and sinker to the Black Lives Matter line of bull crap. And you got to wonder if George Soros is there wherever he lives over in Europe or wherever the crap he resides, if he's just yucking himself up. It's silly. You know, he's just watching all this crap. Because whether you're aware or not, George Soros funds Black Lives Matter. Gee, I wonder why that is. I wonder why he's funding an anarchist group. I wonder why he funds all these anarchist, leftist, communist groups. Gee. And you just got to wonder what this guy is thinking when he sees this kind of crap, when he sees these useful idiots like Colin Kaepernick buying into this line of crap, hook, line, and sinker, and they just run with it as if there's actual oppression in this country. Has Kaepernick actually ever been outside the United States to see what real oppression is? Go to the Middle East. Go to Africa. Go to South America. See what real oppression is really like. Heck, you could have gone to the Rio Olympics and gone to one of the favelas to see what oppression is really like. Go to Venezuela, where they've got no food at all. Go to the Middle East, where they're hacking off heads and dipping people in acid baths, ISIS. It's the most absurd thing for these whiny weenies to sit there with their with their huge NFL contracts and these entertainers that are making gazillions of dollars, pampered in every conceivable way, complaining about oppression. I forgot to mention, here's Kaepernick's current contract. It's 6 years, $114 million for this worthless blankety POS. It's $114 million, $61 million of it is guaranteed, and that averages out to about $19 million a year salary. It's actually, I think it's close to like 12 million or something like that. But he's whining about the oppression of of blacks and people of color and whatnot. And you ever wonder why, if I may digress once again, as I usually do, why people get in trouble for saying colored people, but you're allowed to say people of color? What the frick is the difference, guys? But whatever. So I did a little tertiary digging, not too much, but just enough to satisfy my curiosity to see what Mr. Kaepernick is doing to rescue his people. They are his people, evidently, from oppression. What's he doing with his $61 million guaranteed, $114 million 6-year contract? What's he doing to save his people? What's he doing to help out? Or is he like every other leftist on the planet who's very generous with our money but won't give away any of their own? Oh, except for $35,000 a plate dinners for Hillary or something like that. They'll do that, sure. Well, when he first came out, he was a happy-go-lucky guy. He was a good quarterback by all rights. Like I said, he changed the game. Him and some others have transformed the game somewhat. And he, for a couple of years, I think from 2013 to 2015, he ran a youth camp for minority children. I don't know if it was for all children, but he ran a youth camp. And then all of a sudden now, I can't find a single freaking thing that he is doing for his black community, for his people of color, for his oppressed people of color. I can't find a darn thing that he's doing with his $61 million guaranteed $12 to $19 million salary. Nothing. I can't find a single thing that he's doing himself to help lift these people out of this so-called oppression that they're all living under. And as far as kids, people dying in the streets and whatnot, why don't you go to Chicago for the weekend? Because blacks kill more blacks in Chicago in one weekend than the cops do in 5 years. I mean, give me a freaking break. And I think that that's what we're going to do. We're going to give me a break, and we're going to give you a break, so let's take one.
You're listening to the Common Constitution. Let the truth be known.
Okay, welcome back. Now, this one is about the United States Navy, my United States Navy. This one comes to us from, well, it's actually two stories regarding the same event. One is by Reuters, and the other is by, well, I'll discuss that in a minute. But Reuters, obviously, is a lefty news site. Lots of places use Reuters, the Washington Post, and the New York Times, and lots of places internationally use Reuters, and it is a left-leaning reporting venue. And they'll take the politically correct side if there is such a side to take. So I don't know whether you're aware of the situation last week in the near the Straits of Hormuz in the Persian Gulf. A destroyer, a couple of destroyers actually, were in international waters, and they were maneuvering about, and all of a sudden some Iranian patrol boats came speeding toward them, and that was the incident that caught everybody's attention, as well it should. So Reuters writes that a U.S. Navy ship fired warning shots toward an Iranian fast attack craft that approached two U.S. ships, a Pentagon spokesman said on Thursday. The spokesman, Peter Cook, told reporters They did feel compelled ultimately to fire 3 warning shots, and the reason for that is that they had taken steps already to try and de-escalate the situation. De-escalate the situation? These ships weren't doing anything. Our ships weren't doing anything. They certainly weren't doing anything aggressive toward the Iranians. So there was no need for us to try to attempt to de-escalate things. But of course, the Americans are, well, we're the bad guys anyway. So regardless of who started whatever, it's our responsibility to de-escalate things naturally. Reuters goes on to say that tensions have increased in the Gulf in recent days, despite an improvement in relations between Iran and the United States. Yes, improvement in relations. They kidnap and hold for ransom our people. They hijack sailors in contested Iranian waters. They fire on ships. They do all sorts of things, and relations are great between Iran and the United States. Way to go, Reuters. They go on to report that a U.S. defense official said that USS Squall patrol craft fired 3 warning shots from a .50 caliber gun. I don't know what the gun was, deck mounted or what. I don't know, whatever. In the northern Gulf on Wednesday after warning flares did not work. Okay, just warning flares. A couple flares fired off. No big deal. He described the incident as he described the Iranian behavior as unsafe, unprofessional, and not routine. Well, he was right about that. No doubt about it. At one point, the Iranian vessel, at least one of them, came within 200 yards. Actually, 2 of them came within 300 yards before they moved away. But he doesn't say anything about additional ships, just the 3 Iranian vessels originally, which is also wrong, as you'll see. And then they report that the Pentagon earlier this week accused Iranian vessels of harassing a U.S. warship near the Strait of Hormuz. And, they're right about that because they've been harassing U.S. warships because they know our agitator-in-chief won't do anything. So they just continue to push the envelope, knowing full well that our military has basically, I'm going to guess, stand-down orders to do nothing. The Iranian defense minister, he says that if an American ship enters Iran's maritime region, it will definitely get a warning. We will monitor them, and if they violate our waters, we will confront them. Okay, well, they didn't, but I guess that's beside the point. So that's how Reuters reported this. A couple of Iranian boats got close, and we had to de-escalate the situation. We fired a few flares, and that was the end of it. But that wasn't how it actually occurred. This is from USNI News, which is the United States Navy news, and the ship that was involved in this incident was the USS Nitsa. It's a Arleigh Burke class guided missile destroyer, and USNI reports that the destroyer was in the vicinity of the Strait of Hormuz when four, not 3, not 1, not 2, but 4, Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps Navy high-speed patrol boats came at the ship without responding to hails or warning flares fired by the Nitsa, according to video of the incident provided. So they had video. Now, this next is transcribed directly from ship comms, communications aboard ship, the radios aboard ship. This is the USS Nitsa reporting from the Southern Arabian Gulf. Southern Arabian Gulf, not Southern Iranian Gulf. There's a Freudian slip for you. We have visual contact of 4 Iranians, WPBs. Bridge-to-bridge comms were conducting, but no response. Weapons uncovered appears to be unsafe and unprofessional. By weapons uncovered, that means that they're deck-mounted guns, which are usually covered to protect them from sea spray and to give the indication that all is well, so to speak, and all is calm. They uncover their weapons when they go to, say, battle-ready conditions. And that, folks, is never a good sign. It's a sign, a clear sign of aggression. USNI continues, while the Voice is making the radio report, the 4 patrol boats speed in a serpentine formation toward Nizza with their deck weapons uncovered. The serpentine formation that they're what they call the serpentine formation, what it's actually called is a high-speed intercept, but that's whatever. And one thing that they did note was that the IRGCN, which is the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps, they're not regular Iranian Navy. These guys are a paramilitary organization, we'll say, that they answer direct and only to the Iranian leadership. They don't have to go through Navy channels. And, of course, none of this was reported by Reuters. Now, recall that Reuters said that they fired a few flares and then tried to de-escalate the situation. What actually happened was Nizza's crew attempted to hail the boats about a dozen times, fired 10 warning flares at patrol boats, and blasted the ship's whistle to sound a maritime danger signal, and had no apparent effect on the boats. They just kept coming. And these guys, the IRGCN forces, they're a rogue bunch. Like I said, they answer only and directly to the Iranian leadership. They are not part of the Iranian Navy. They were, I think, they started around 2007 or something like that, and they're supposedly responsible for the defense of the coast of Iran, and they've had several international violations involving both the U.S. and the U.K. In 2007, I think it was, the Coastal Patrol captured 15 UK Royal Navy personnel from the HMS Cornwall, and they were in international waters at the time, and they still captured them. Last year, they captured a commercial ship. I think it was the Maersk Tigris or something like that, and they held that for like more than a week in Iran. They captured U.S. riverine sailors, if you recall correctly. It's just these guys are an absolute rogue bunch, and we are doing nothing to stop them. Now, most people would say, and rightly so, the heck with this crap. If they get too close, you just blow them out of the water. And that would be great if we were allowed, if the shackles were taken off of the U.S. military by the Obama, wimpy, weenie Obama, politically correct Obama administration. That's what would happen. If you mess with our Navy, you're going to get the guns, brother, and that's it. If you are clearly in international waters, as the Nizza was, and these fast attack boats are coming at you, you're trying to warn them, you're trying to hail them, you're firing flares, you fire warning shots, they finally back off. Forget the warning shots. The problem with that is that eventually you have to come back to the United States. And as soon as you come back, the commander of the Nizza would be taken away and perp walked down the plank in shackles and court-martialed in about a day and a half. And that's the way the Obama administration would work this thing, because they hate the military, and B, Obama will do absolutely nothing to stand in the way of his legacy of him, between him and Iran. For whatever reason, I still can't fathom it, to be honest with you, other than he's an anti-colonialist, Israel-hating son of a gun. I don't know. Beyond that, I don't know what drives this guy to do this kind of stuff. But the problem is that if you act in a way that would be, well, common sense in the military, if you see a threat, you take care of the threat. That's it. No more threat. But after that, you know darn well, you and your crew's lives are ruined thereafter. And that is the shame of it. And it is a shame. It's a crying shame, because these guys are out there risking their necks every darn day of the week, particularly out in the Middle East and the Persian Gulf and that region, where it's just a powder keg, and anything could set these people off. And the Iranians know what a wimp Obama is, and that he's not going to allow the military to fight back if he can possibly get away with it. And so they'll just push the envelope and push it, knowing full well that there won't be any serious ramifications. And it really just sucks is what it does. But that's that. I guess the moral of that story is if you want to get the straight scoop on something like this, you certainly don't read the Washington Post or the New York Times, or you don't read Reuters. You go directly to the source, and that's that. And so I think on that note, that is that. And so y'all have a great balance of the weekend. I'm going to go take a nappy time. And that's it. I'm out.
Thank you for listening to the Common Constitutionalist Weekly Podcast.